Hello and welcome to Easy Cooking. Today we're going to make a very traditional Bulgarian dish called moussaka. It actually originates from Turkey, but it's very popular in my country as well. For today's dish we're going to need quite a few ingredients and I'm going to present them in two different steps. First we're going to see what we need for the dish, and then we're going to see what we need for the topping. While the dish is cooking we're going to make the topping. So let's see what we need. We need potatoes, ground beef, tomatoes, onions, spices such as salt, parsley, paprika, black pepper, carrots, a cup or two of water. Now that we know what we need, we're going to start preparing the dish. First we're going to start with our potatoes. I've taken the time to pre-cut them, but you pretty much need a couple of pounds of potatoes. My favorite are golden Yukon, I think that's what they're called. We're going to mix our carrots right in there. We're going to put our onion. It's a really easy dish. It doesn't take too long to prep. The only thing that takes long is baking. This dish takes about an hour and a half to two from start to finish in the oven. And that's really what takes the longest. So I make it usually over the weekend just because of the time it takes to bake. Put the seasonings in there. We'll throw our meat. It's about a pound of ground beef. I am making half the recipe again. For families that can eat a whole recipe, that's great. You can make the full recipe. I usually make half because our kids are still young and my wife and I struggle with finishing the dish sometime. But if I have company, I'll make the full recipe, of course. And then we're going to add water. We're going to kind of watch how much water we need. We don't want to put too much. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that there is enough in here to allow the potatoes and everything to cook okay. One thing I did not do before I started this is start my oven. So let me do that real quick. Luckily my oven is too hot because I made some bread earlier, but you want to start your oven on 450 before you start cutting your potatoes and cutting your carrots, cutting your onion. That way by the time you're done with mixing everything, your oven will be preheated and ready to go. Again, luckily mine is good because I just made some bread not long ago. And we should be in a good shape. You want to mix everything well to allow the seasonings to go everywhere and the meat to be kind of evenly distributed. So that's what I'm doing right now. And then when you're done mixing, what you want to do is kind of pat it down with your spoon. You want to make sure it's pushed down. Okay, that should be good. Okay, and you don't want to put too much water. If you can see, I have just enough water to cover my potatoes. You don't want more than that. Otherwise, you're going to end up with too much. So we're going to get this. We're going to put it in the oven. We're going to give it about an hour. We'll start with that. We'll see where we're at. I'll probably take a couple of potatoes at that time to try them to see if they're cooked. If not, we'll give it a few more minutes. It really depends on your oven, how strong it is, how it cooks, but a good start is an hour, and then we'll take it from there. So I'll put it in the oven. I'll set my timer. And that's it. I'll let it sit for an hour in there, and meanwhile I'm gonna probably clean a little bit and I'll show you how to make the topping for the dish. For those who are not familiar with moussaka, it's a Turkish dish, and basically it gets a nice layer of yogurt, eggs, and a little bit of salt on top, and it's all baked and it looks really good and it's very delicious. Like I said, while we're waiting for the moussaka to cook, we're gonna prepare the topping so it's ready to pour on top of it later. For the topping, we're going to need the following ingredients: eggs, yogurt, flour, salt. We're gonna start by whisking our eggs real quick. As you know, I like to do that before I do anything else. And we only need to whisk them for a few seconds. We don't really need to overdo it. I just like to make sure that they mix a lot better with the remaining ingredients this way. This is enough. We're gonna put our yogurt in there. We're gonna mix that before we throw the rest of the ingredients in. This is really a favorite dish of mine. I mean, growing up I have a lot of favorite dishes, I guess. My mom and dad really did a good job at making homemade dishes for my brother and I, and we grew up with a lot of I guess good homemade meals, and I had good teachers, both my mom and dad, and I guess I owe a lot to them in that matter. We'll just put our flour in there. We're gonna make sure it's mixed well. And this is it. Really not a whole lot to it. Like I said, every meal that we make is easy. Some meals take a little longer to bake, which really doesn't add to your workload, because while things are baking, you can do your dishes, you can play with your kids. That's what I do usually. I just go and play with the kiddos until things are ready. But for the most part, it's easy dishes, easy cooking, easy meals, so that you're not overburdening yourself and you can spend some time with your family and still enjoy a homemade meal. Our timer just went off, so we're going to take our dish out of the oven. It's been exactly an hour. I'm not going to add any more time because my oven does tend to be a little hotter than normal. It's just beautiful. This is what it should look like when you take it out of the oven before you put the topping on. I am going to go ahead and add the topping. I'm going to go nice and slow. I don't want to splash everywhere and spill it. I'm going to make sure I have all of it in there. You want to use your spoon. Make sure to spread it through the whole top. And once this is done, we're going to go ahead and put it back in the oven for another half an hour. That will give us a total of an hour and a half of baking time. And you should be able to enjoy it. We're going to put our timer on, and for this part of the baking, we're actually going to turn our heat down to 425, because if we don't, it's the yogurt, come baby. If we don't turn it down to 425, our yogurt mixture is going to burn on top before the eggs are cooked. So for the last half an hour, once you put the topping on, make sure that you turn your oven on 425 to finish baking it, otherwise it's gonna burn too fast, eggs are not gonna be cooked, and it's not gonna turn. Our timer just went off, so I'm gonna turn my oven off and everything else, and we're gonna get our dish out. Oh my goodness, it looks delicious. And this is what it looks like if you want to zoom in a little bit. Caitlin. Basically, you want to make sure it's kind of brown on top. That's when you know it's cooked. Again, 425 to finish it off with the topping. I'm gonna dish some to myself. It is extremely hot, so I'm gonna get just a little bit to try it and let me know how it turned out. And we're gonna have some for dinner later. Good. So let's give it a try. So this is what the topping looks like when it's cooked. It's not very thick. It kind of leaks right in between all the potatoes anyway. But it really goes well with the potatoes. That's what moussaka is. It's really popular in Eastern Europe and Turkey, of course. And mine turned out just amazing. It's perfect.
I assume feta cheese is a good compliment.
Feta cheese is always a good compliment, like my wife said. But again, I eat feta cheese 3 times a day, so that's no surprise. It's really good. I'm gonna get myself some more. It's cooled off enough. You guys enjoy. Show me your pictures. Hopefully you can feel free to comment, ask questions, subscribe to our channel, like our videos. I always like seeing who enjoys my recipes. See you next time.